what Arteta said after the game, and even some transfer news from Fabrizio Romano that has me a little worried about what happens next. Grab a drink. This one is going to be a long conversation. The result. What actually happened? So Arsenal versus Bournemouth at the Emirates. On paper, this should have been comfortable. We are a top side fighting for the league title. Bournemouth are a good team, yes, but this was at home. And yet, we lost 2-1. Junior Krupi scored the first. Alex Scott added the second in the second half. Victor Gyökeres pulled one back from the penalty spot just before halftime, and for a moment, okay, you thought, right, we are going to turn this around. But we never did. Here is the thing that really gets me. Bournemouth had basically 2 proper chances in the whole game. 2. And they scored both of them. Meanwhile, Arsenal, with Eberechi Eze, Leandro Trossard, Gabriel Jesus, and Max Daumann all on the pitch at the same time by the end, could not find an equalizer. Not one. That is not bad luck. That is a real problem. When you have 4 attacking players on the pitch, and you still cannot create anything meaningful from open play, that is a team that is running out of ideas. And that worries me more than the result itself. Also, can we talk about the atmosphere at the Emirates? The fans booed the team off at full time. That tells you everything. These are supporters who have been patient, who have believed all season. And right now, that belief is being tested. And then, a member of the Bournemouth coaching staff had to be physically escorted away after celebrating in the direction of Arsenal supporters. That is how embarrassing this was. The opposition staff were rubbing it in our faces, and we had nothing to say back. The title race. This is now a real problem. Okay, so here is where it gets serious. Before this game, Arsenal had a real chance to open up a massive gap at the top. If we had won, we go 12 points clear. The title race would have been practically over. Instead, we lost. And now Man City can cut the gap to just 6 points if they beat Chelsea. 6. And City also have a game in hand. Let that land for a second. We went from potentially wrapping this up in the next few weeks to suddenly looking over our shoulder. One result completely shifted the energy of this title race. And the timing could not be worse because next week, Arsenal traveled to the Etihad to face Manchester City directly. That game just became the biggest match of our season. Maybe one of the biggest in recent years. If City win that one, they close the gap even further and have the momentum. If Arsenal win, they reassert control. Do you understand how much pressure is riding on that one game now? A week ago, Arsenal were cruising. Now we are going into the Etihad with a team that has lost 3 of our last 4 in all competitions, fans who are frustrated, and a manager who is trying to hold everything together publicly while clearly feeling the heat privately. It is a completely different scenario to what we imagined a week ago. What Arteta said and what it really means. After the game, Arteta spoke to TalkSport. And I want to break down what he actually said because there is a lot between the lines here. First, he called the defeat a big punch on the face. I respect that. He is not hiding from it. He is not giving you the "we were the better team" nonsense that managers sometimes use when they have lost. He is being honest. This hurt. This really hurt. He then promised an immediate reaction. He said he is convinced the team will respond. And I want to believe that. I do. Because this Arsenal side has shown real character this season. They have come back from difficult moments before. But here is my honest take as a fan. You can say all the right things after a defeat. The words are not what matters. What matters is what happens at the Etihad next week. That is where we find out if this Arsenal squad genuinely has the mentality to handle a title run-in under pressure. Arteta also said the performance was below the standards they have shown all season, which is true, but he also made a fair point. Arsenal have earned the right to be top of the table. They did not get there by accident. 9 months of work put them there. The question is whether the last 7 weeks destroy all of that or prove that this team is ready. He told his players to look at themselves. And honestly, he is right. When things go wrong, you cannot start pointing fingers at referees or luck or anything external. You look inward, you fix it, you move forward. I just hope the players are actually listening. My honest fan analysis. Where is the real issue? Let me give you my real thoughts here because I am not going to just repeat what the journalists say. This Arsenal team has a creativity problem right now, and it has been building for a few weeks. When things are going well, the movement, the pressing, the passing combinations, it all clicks. It looks beautiful. But when teams sit back and are organized against us, we struggle to break them down without individual moments of brilliance. Gyökeres is new to the team. He is still adapting. And while I think he will be a top player for us, right now he is not yet the complete solution to our striker problems. The penalty was good. The rest of the game, he was a bit isolated. Jesus came on late. Trossard came on late. Eze came on late. These are quality players. But throwing them all on in the last 20 minutes when you are chasing the game is not a plan. That is desperation. What I want to see against City is a bold, front-footed Arsenal. High energy from the first whistle. Not a team waiting for something to happen. We need to take the game to City early and make it uncomfortable for them. That is the only way we win at the Etihad. Can this squad do that? I think yes. But they have to actually want it badly enough to show up in a way they have not for the last 3 or 4 games. Real talk. Are you still confident Arsenal win the title? Drop it in the comments. I genuinely want to know. Fabrizio Romano update. The transfer news. You need to know. Now let me add something that is running alongside all of this because it matters for Arsenal's future even if the timing is a bit uncomfortable. Fabrizio Romano has been talking this week, and there are a couple of things worth knowing. First, Ethan Nwaneri. Romano confirmed just today that Chelsea and Borussia Dortmund are the 2 clubs most seriously interested in signing Nwaneri permanently this summer. The teenager is currently on loan at Marseille and will return to Arsenal at the end of the season with no buy option for the French club. Now here is the complicated bit. Arsenal might actually sell him. Not because they want to, but because a sale would generate pure profit which helps with financial fair play rules. Romano was clear, though. The club has not told Nwaneri anything yet. No decision has been made. But let me be honest with you. If we sell Nwaneri to Chelsea, that would sting badly, like really badly. This is a kid who came through our academy, and you are going to sell him to a direct rival? I am not fully convinced that is the right move even if the money is helpful. Some things you just do not do. Second, the striker situation. There have been reports floating around about Arsenal being interested in Nicolo Tresoldi from Club Brugge, a 21-year-old German forward who has been impressive in Europe. Romano, however, has been pretty clear on this one. He said there is nothing really advanced and nothing really concrete between Arsenal and Tresoldi right now. So do not get too excited about that one just yet. There has also been noise about Arsenal monitoring Christian Kofan, the 19-year-old Bayer Leverkusen striker who had a big Champions League quarterfinal. He fits the profile of a young, high-potential striker that Arsenal love to go after. Leverkusen want around 60-70 million, though, which is not cheap. The point is, Arsenal clearly know they need to strengthen in attack this summer. Whether it is Kofane, Tresoldi, someone else entirely, the front line needs investment. And that tells you something about where the club sees its weaknesses heading into next season. Quick question for you. Who do you want Arsenal to sign this summer? Is there a specific player you think would fix the problem we saw against Bournemouth? What needs to happen now? The honest verdict right. So where does this leave us? Arsenal are still top of the Premier League. That matters. We have not thrown it away yet. Arteta is right about that. The team earned that position and it still belongs to them. But the next 2 weeks are going to define this entire season. If Arsenal go to the Etihad and beat City, the title race swings back in our favor in a big way. The momentum returns. The fans believe again. If we lose, this becomes genuinely scary. Because City will have closed the gap, they will have a game in hand, and the pressure will be enormous for the run-in. I do not think this squad is finished. I genuinely believe there is a reaction coming. When Arsenal have been pushed this season, they have found a way. But they have to do it on the biggest stage now, away from home, against the one team that always seems to have our number historically, the Etihad. Next week, everything on the line. Are you ready for it? Because I am nervous and excited at the same time, and that feeling is very specifically an Arsenal fan feeling. Look, being an Arsenal fan is never boring. ever. Just when you think we are sailing, something comes along and flips the whole table. But I will say this. I would rather be in our position than any other team's position right now. We are still top. We still control our destiny. And we have Arteta, who, whatever you think about today's result, is one of the best managers in world football building something real at this club. The title is not gone, not even close, but it has to be won now. In the big moments, and the biggest moment of our season is coming up very soon. Stay loud, stay with the team, and let's see what this Arsenal squad is really made of. If you enjoyed this breakdown, share it with every Gooner you know. Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read all of them. And subscribe if you want to be here for what promises to be the most dramatic title run-in we have seen in years. Let me paint the picture for you. Bournemouth came to the Emirates not to play pretty football. They came to be compact, hit on the counter, and make Arsenal uncomfortable. And honestly, it worked perfectly. The visitors scored first, early in the game, before Arsenal could even settle into their rhythm. That's the worst kind of goal to concede at home. The early one that puts you on the back foot immediately and forces you to chase the game. Arsenal did get back level through a penalty. Fine. Okay, you think, all right, they've responded, now they'll push on and win this? That's what top teams do, right? But no, second half, Bournemouth scored again, and that was it. Game over. 3 points for the visitors. Silence at the Emirates. Can you imagine being in that stadium today? I cannot. That must have been painful to watch live. The dry pitch excuse? Are we serious? Now here's where it gets controversial. After the game, there were reports, and again, some of these details need to be taken carefully, suggesting that one of the Arsenal forwards pointed to the condition of the pitch as part of the reason they struggled. The pitch was dry, apparently. That apparently didn't help. Mate, I'm sorry, but no. You cannot be losing at home to Bournemouth in a Premier League title race and then talk about the pitch. That is not the energy we need right now. Top players perform on any surface. The pitch excuse is the kind of thing you say when you've run out of real explanations. And the thing is, Bournemouth played on the same pitch, same dry pitch, and they managed to score twice. So let's move on from that quickly. Mikel Arteta's reaction was more honest, at least. He reportedly described the loss as a massive wake-up call, something along the lines of a punch to the face. Now that's more like it. That's the kind of honesty that fans can actually respect. Not blaming the grass. Acknowledging that something went seriously wrong and that the team needs to wake up. Because they do. They really do. What this means for the title race. And it's not pretty okay. So here's where we need to talk numbers. And I want you to really pay attention here because this matters. Before today, Arsenal were top of the Premier League. They had a lead. Things were looking promising. Now, that lead could shrink very quickly. Manchester City play Chelsea tomorrow at Stamford Bridge. And if City win that game, which is very possible, City are currently favored, the gap between Arsenal and City gets smaller. Just like that. One result. One bad Saturday for Arsenal and one good Sunday for City could completely change the feel of this title race. And here's the part that really stings. City have games in hand over Arsenal. That means even if the points difference still looks okay on paper, City have more opportunities to collect points that Arsenal have already used up. Do you see the problem? Arsenal cannot afford to drop points. Not now. Not with City waiting in the background like they always do in these situations. You've seen this before. City are patient. They just wait for you to slip. And today, Arsenal slipped. The Victor Gyökeres situation. Let's clear this up. Right now, I have to address something that's floating around online that I think is genuinely misleading a lot of people. Some articles and posts are writing about this game as if Victor Gyökeres is an Arsenal player. They're describing him scoring a penalty, making comments after the game, the whole thing. Let me be very clear. Victor Gyökeres has not signed for Arsenal. As of now, Gyökeres plays for Sporting CP in Portugal. He's been one of the most talked about strikers in Europe this season. The numbers this man has been putting up are genuinely ridiculous. Goals, assists, big game performances. He is absolutely elite, and yes, Arsenal have been linked with him. Fabrizio Romano, the most reliable transfer journalist in the game right now, the man who made Here We Go a part of football culture, has been tracking this situation closely. Romano has reported that Gyökeres is one of the most in-demand strikers in Europe heading into the summer window. Multiple top clubs are watching him. Arsenal are among the clubs who have shown genuine interest. But interest is not a transfer. A link is not a deal. And right now, Gyökeres is still a Sporting CP player. So any article telling you he was playing for Arsenal today, scoring penalties and giving post-match interviews, that's not real. Now, with that said, let's actually talk about whether Gyökeres would make sense for Arsenal. Because this is the interesting conversation. Would Gyökeres even fit Arsenal? My honest take. This is the question that every Arsenal fan should be asking. Because wanting a player and that player actually fitting your system are two completely different things. We've seen clubs make that mistake before. Big signing, big money, didn't work because nobody thought about the fit. So let's think about this properly. Gyökeres is a center forward. He's physical, he's aggressive, he presses relentlessly, he scores all types of goals, headers, finishes with both feet, penalties, long shots. He's also not afraid of big moments. The guy has been doing it in Champions League football this season, so it's not like he's just bullying lower league teams. Does that suit how Arsenal play? Actually, yes. Arteta's system demands a lot from the striker in terms of pressing and movement. The striker has to work hard defensively, hold the ball up, and also be clinical in front of goal. Gyökeres can do all of that. The style fits, the profile fits. The timing could fit too, with Arsenal desperate to solve their striker situation properly. But here's the risk part that I want to be honest about. Number one, the price. Gyökeres is not going to be cheap. Not even close. We're talking about one of the most wanted players in Europe right now. Sporting CP don't need to sell. They're in a strong position, so if Arsenal want him, they're going to have to pay a serious amount of money. We're talking potentially over $80 million. That's a big investment, and if it doesn't work out, that's a massive problem. Number two, pressure. Coming to Arsenal as the main striker in a title race situation, expected to fix their goals problem immediately, that's enormous pressure for any player. Even great players can take time to adjust, and Arsenal might not have time. Number three, competition. Arsenal are not the only club that wants him. Not by a long way. If City or one of the Spanish giants or PSG come in with a bigger offer or a more attractive project, Arsenal could lose out completely and then they're back to square one. So yes, Gyökeres makes sense in theory, but the road to actually getting him done is complicated. Don't assume it happens just because there's interest. What do you think though? Would you want Arsenal to spend big on Gyökeres this summer? Drop your answer below. The week that could define Arsenal's entire season. Let's come back to the present. Because the Bournemouth defeat hurts, yes. But what comes next is even more important. Arsenal now face what could genuinely be described as the most important 7 days of their season, maybe even of Arteta's time in charge. First up, a Champions League quarterfinal against Sporting CP. Yes, the same Sporting CP that Gyökeres plays for. How's that for a subplot? Arsenal going to face the very club that their supposed summer target plays for in a knockout European tie, while their title hopes are wobbling. Football really does write its own story sometimes. That Champions League tie is enormous. Arsenal have never won the Champions League. This is their chance to go deep in the competition. But if they carry the same performance level they showed against Bournemouth into that game, Sporting will punish them, seriously. And then, immediately after that European clash, Arsenal traveled to the Etihad to face Manchester City in the league, potentially a direct 6-pointer in the title race. If City have closed the gap by then, which is very possible, that game becomes absolutely massive. Win both games, Arsenal are back in control and the dream is alive. Lose both, the title is probably gone, the Champions League run is over, and suddenly a season that looked so promising becomes a painful near-miss story that we'll be hearing about for years. No pressure, lads. Arteta, is he the problem or the solution? I want to spend a minute on Mikel Arteta because I think this is important. Some fans will react to today's result by turning on the manager. That always happens. It's football. When things go wrong, someone has to take the blame, and the manager is always the easiest target. But here's my honest view. Arteta has built something real at Arsenal. He came in when the club was a mess, and he has turned them into genuine title contenders. The football has been good this season overall. The structure is better. The mentality has improved compared to where Arsenal were a few years ago. The problem isn't the system. The problem is that when Arsenal need to be clinical, when they absolutely have to win a specific game, they sometimes don't show up with enough quality. That inconsistency at key moments is what costs them, and that falls on players, not just the manager. Today against Bournemouth, Arsenal had chances. They didn't take them. That's not a tactical failure necessarily. That's a quality and mentality issue in specific moments. Big players make those moments count. Today, Arsenal didn't. Can Arteta fix that? Yes. But he needs the right players to do it. Which brings us back to the transfer window conversation. What Fabrizio Romano is saying about Arsenal's summer plans. So let's pull this together from a transfer perspective because this is where the summer becomes critical. Romano has been consistently reporting that Arsenal are planning a significant summer window. The club knows that if they want to compete seriously in the league and in Europe, they need to strengthen, particularly in attack. The striker position is the obvious priority. Arsenal have been linked with multiple names. Gyökeres is one. But Romano has also tracked Arsenal's interest in other forward options across Europe. The message from the club seems to be, we need a proper number 9 who can guarantee goals at the highest level. That makes total sense when you look at today's performance. Arsenal had the ball. They created chances, but they couldn't finish. And in a title race, one missed chance can cost you everything. Today, it cost them 3 points. Romano's general read on Arsenal is that the club is ambitious, the structure is good, and Arteta has the full backing of the ownership, so the money should be available to do real business this summer. The question is whether they can identify and sign the right player before clubs like City or the top Spanish clubs do. The summer window is not here yet, but decisions are being made right now behind closed doors. And what happens in the next few weeks, on the pitch and off it, will shape where Arsenal go next season. Let me ask you something directly. Before I wrap this up, I genuinely want to know what you think. Do you believe Arsenal can still win the title this season, or has today broken something mentally that's going to be hard to recover from? Because here's the thing about momentum in football. It's real. When things are flowing and the wins are coming, everything feels possible. But when doubt creeps in, when you're losing home games, you should be winning. That doubt spreads into the dressing room, into the fans, into the players' heads when they're standing over a penalty or making a decision in the final third. Arsenal need to kill that doubt this week, quickly, because they don't have time to feel sorry for themselves. Champions League, Manchester City, 7 days. That's the challenge, and how they respond will tell us everything about who this team really is. Are they genuine title winners, or are they the nearly team again? Tell me in the comments. I genuinely want to hear your thoughts on this. This is the moment of truth look. I'm not going to pretend today didn't hurt. It did. Watching Arsenal drop points at home to Bournemouth in April, with the title still in reach, that stings. That stings a lot. But I'm also not ready to give up. Not yet. Arsenal have been here before. Not this exact situation, but under pressure, backs against the wall, needing a response. And sometimes they've delivered. The quality is there in that squad. Arteta knows what's at stake. The players know what's at stake. What I need to see this week is a reaction, a proper one, not words, not post-match quotes about dry pitches, actual performances, actual results. Show me that this team wants it, because the next 7 days, they're everything. If you're an Arsenal fan, strap in. This is going to be intense. If you're a City fan reading this, yeah, enjoy it. But don't celebrate too early. We're not done. And if you're neutral, welcome. You're about to watch one of the most exciting title race finishes we've seen in years. Whatever happens, it's going to be dramatic. Hit subscribe if you want to follow this story all the way to the end. Drop a comment with your predictions. And share this with an Arsenal fan who needs to see it. Whether that's to give them hope or just so they know they're not suffering alone. We go again. Always up the Arsenal.